joining. I'm Marcy Rader, the MoPro coach and lifestyle trainer for road warriors, business travelers, and mobile professionals. If you work more than 50% of your time out of a typical office, you are a MoPro. This is a short webinar based on my book, Hack the Mobile Lifestyle, 6 Steps to Work Well and Play More, which can be found on Amazon.com. Just a little bit about me. I have a degree in exercise science and a master's in health promotion, and I've been a certified personal trainer for 20 years. I fell into the clinical research industry and worked there for 13 years and was a heavy business traveler, traveling almost weekly for about a decade. I worked my way up to be a senior corporate trainer and a manager, and about 7 years ago I developed a really strong interest in productivity and read every book that I could find, which resulted in totally changing my life, the way I traveled, I downsized my house, and ultimately I became a certified productive environment specialist. I traveled almost weekly, nationally and internationally, and most of the time I traveled by plane. And I remember one time when I was in a parking garage, or in an elevator at a parking garage, and a guy asked me where I was going. And I didn't know. I actually had to pull out my itinerary and look to see where I was headed because I was on the road so much. I would also walk miles up and down the terminals just to try to find something healthy to eat. And, you know, back then I was a vegetarian, which made it even harder. And unfortunately, airlines haven't gotten that much better. I felt a lot of anxiety and stress when I had flight delays, if I couldn't check my email, or I lost the fight for that one working outlet. But in the end, I managed to figure it out. And in the time that I traveled, I completed over 60 endurance and ultra-endurance events. I had a date with my husband every week, and I participated in at least one social event or occasion with a friend every week. I got into a routine at home to help me travel and a routine when I traveled to help me at home. I developed systems that allowed me to shut down every night with Inbox Zero and my tasks completed, and it's been that way ever since. Even with starting my own business, I've managed to still live by my philosophy that you can't be healthy without being productive, and you can't be productive without being healthy. I started my business to help other mobile professionals and road warriors be healthy and productive on the road. In March, I released a book called Hack the Mobile Lifestyle, 6 Steps to Work Well and Play More. And this covers health and productivity hacks in the areas of air, hotel, auto, mobile office, parties and meetings, and home. And this Google Hangout series, which will last 6 weeks, and we have 1 week that we're skipping, but this Google Hangout series will cover each of these areas for 6 weeks, and we'll give you just a snippet of what is in the book. So every couple of minutes, I'm going to just make sure that there aren't any questions. Okay, very good. So first of the 6 steps is air travel, and that's what we're going to cover today. Carlson Wagonlit Travel did the most extensive travel survey, and they did this with 6,000 travelers. And one of the highest stressors for women and highest stressors overall was not being able to eat healthy meals. This was always one of the hardest things for me. You know, like I said, I was a vegetarian, and my options, especially back in the early 2000s, were Auntie Anne's pretzels, Starbucks Frappuccinos, and frozen yogurt. Basically sugar and refined carbs that would put me in what I call the jack and crash cycle. I'd get jacked up on sugar and refined carbs and then would crash a couple of hours later, and then I'd just want more. It's gotten a little bit better for airports, but they're still just really lacking healthy food. PCRM, the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, they looked at 18 of the busiest airports in the U.S., and only 76% had at least one low-fat, high-fiber, low cholesterol vegetarian entree. And this is not per terminal or per gate. This is for the airport. And the worst of those airports was Hartsfield, Atlanta. And I would agree. Because for such a giant airport, it was hard sometimes to find a healthy meal there. So one of the things that I really love is called iFly Pro. iFly Pro is an app and a website, but the app gives you a ton of information about the airport in general, and over 10,000 actually. But what I love the most is that it lists the restaurants and amenities by terminal so you can plan where you're going to eat. You have to plan when you're traveling. You can't just, you're not on vacation if you're traveling for business. This is something you're doing all the time. And, in order to stay healthy, you do have to plan. With iFly, you can see what restaurants are at each gate. And you can use it offline. That way, if you're on the plane and you're flying from Raleigh to Charlotte, then you can look while you're in the air even and see what restaurants are going to be in your terminal or at your gate. I don't know about you, but there's been a few times where I've stopped at, subpar restaurant A, and 200 feet later was a restaurant that I actually liked or could get a healthy meal, and it made me so mad. But with iFly, I know exactly what's there. And I can also use it if I am at the client site and I can check the airport before I go, like if it's Birmingham or Sarasota, which I would always fly into and out of, and they didn't have anything there I wanted to eat, I would be able to check, see that there isn't any restaurants there, and then I could stop at the grocery or stop somewhere else on my way to the airport and make sure that I got food. I always check to see if there was anything for me to eat before I ever started the travel process, because it really can, completely derail you. And you do not want to be hungry or rely on anything that the airplane is going to give you. From Raleigh to San Diego, I got a 60-calorie pack of peanuts. So it doesn't always matter how long your flight is. Sometimes you're just not going to get anything. But with the iFly Pro, I'm not paid by iFly. I bought an app, so, but I do really, really like the app. Besides the food, it also gives information on parking, ground transportation. It has complete maps of the airports. It will give you your flight status. It has really extensive forums. There is a great series on there called From the Cockpit about what happens from, the moment you get on the plane to you get off the plane, written by a pilot. That's really cool. And I just think that this is one of the most comprehensive apps that you could use. A couple of other apps that you might want to have handy when you're in an airport is Fujicate. And Fujicate gives grades based on the category that the food is in. For example, like muffins aren't health food, ever, by any means. But if you're comparing muffins to muffins, and it's a name brand, then it will help you determine which is better. And the reason why it's great in airports is because airports have a lot of processed food. So if you're going to buy a granola bar, then you want to at least be able to scan it. That's all you have to do is just scan it. And it'll pop up and say if this is an A or a B or a D, and you don't want to eat any D's or C's. There's also a paid part of Fujicate, which is for gluten-containing foods. And if you have a gluten intolerance or celiac disease or Hashimoto's disease, like I do, then you can't eat gluten. And so having that part of the app is really helpful as well. My third app related to food, and then we'll move on, is called Find Me Gluten Free. And this is for, again, those people with Hashimoto's or celiac disease who can't eat gluten. And what Find Me Gluten Free has is a list of all the restaurants in your area. So it just pulls up the map of wherever you are, and it gives you all of the restaurants that have gluten-free menus or gluten-free items, and people can rate them and say, you know, if they're celiac friendly or not, and I have gotten a lot of use out of that app. And with any of these apps, they're only as good as the information that's put in them. So if you use them, do us all a favor, no matter what app it is, and update and help contribute to those apps. So moving away from food, I want to talk a little bit about luggage. But before I do, just let me check, make sure there aren't any questions. No. Okay. So luggage. There are pros and cons of soft versus hard case, and big versus little, checking versus carrying on. But I'm just going to note a few things from each. High quality is a must. You will pay for it. If you think that you can travel with a cheap bag, you will pay for it in another way. The way you will pay for it is when you're running down the airport and your handle breaks. Or, you know how you go to the grocery and you get the cart with the funky wheel? Well, your cheap suitcase will become the suitcase with the funky wheel. If your suitcase falls over all the time, once you pack it, that's a cheap suitcase. And that's why. So definitely high quality. Definitely high quality. A dark color is preferred because your bag is going to get really dirty when you check it. I bought this beautiful peachy coral colored Tumi bag that was really expensive. And the first time I checked it, I realized why nobody carries beautiful coral colored suitcases, because it looks awful now. It looks like somebody ran over it with their car. And I cannot get that, I can't get it out, get the stains out. So you want a dark color, but not necessarily black, because everybody and their brother has black, so it's hard to tell them apart. And one thing you can do is put like a really colorful luggage tag, or I've even seen people take a color, like a color piece of duct tape, like color duct tape, not ugly duct tape, but like I have a tie-dye duct tape that I just put a little strip on it if I'm taking my husband's bag, and then it's easy for me to see because it's tie-dyed. Most people aren't going to have it. What you don't want to do is put some crazy long ribbon tied in a big bow on your suitcase, because sometimes those ribbons can come off. And I have been stuck at an airport for over an hour because somebody's crazy luggage identifying accessory got stuck in the belt, and we all had to wait for them to get it out of the belt. So think twice about putting some big, beautiful bow on your suitcase. So colored luggage tag is much better. The next thing you want to do is check your wheels. You want 4 wheels instead of 2 wheels. And most newer, good quality suitcases will have 4 wheels now. But you also want them to be 360-degree wheels. So you can roll it in front of you down the aisle, and also you can roll it beside you, and you're not having to pull it behind you, because pulling it behind you takes a lot more room, and it's harder to maneuver in the airport. The 360-degree wheels is what allows you to roll it in front or beside, and those are awesome. Plus, with the 4 wheels, it's less likely to fall over. And if you have one of those bags like my husband has, that once you pack it, it just goes, and it's always falling over on people and yourself and things, then that's part of the reason. My husband doesn't travel very much, so it's not worth it to us to replace, but it's a real pain. So you want 4 wheels, and you want good wheels. If you grew up inline skating, you know the difference between crappy wheels and good wheels. You also might want to look for a system that has an add-a-bag type system, where it comes with a laptop case or a smaller carry-on that has a sleeve, and that you can put it down the handle or somehow attach to your bag. Those are really nice too. Now, hard cases will help keep out the bed bugs. but you'll want like a polycarbonate case because it's lighter. You know, the old hard cases were really heavy and nobody ever wanted them, but the newer ones that are polycarbonate, they're pretty light, and that hard case will help protect your, whatever's inside, and also repel bed bugs. The downside with the polycarbonate is that it might scratch up. A soft case is going to be easier to expand, and you'll also probably have more pocket options. However, when you're looking at a bag, don't think, oh my gosh, this has so many pockets, this is going to be awesome. Because there's a such thing as too many pockets. I used to have this Franklin Covey bag that I thought would be amazing, and my husband got one too, and we both ended up not using it because it had so many pockets. We would lose things in the bag because we were always, spending time searching for pockets, or searching in the pockets. So an expandable soft case is good. Putting, which you can use for either a hard or soft case, a compression unit or a compression wings like an Eagle Creek system. They have a system called Packet, and these things will compress everything in your suitcase, but also keep it from getting too wrinkled. It even comes with a little, some of the larger size comes with a flat piece of plastic that shows you how to fold everything, and it's kind of like the board at the Gap, where they're folding over the clothes. It's like that, and I find that I get way more in my suitcase when I use that. And for my staff, some of my staff that I got gifts for, that's what I got them, was an Eagle Creek Packet system. Last thing with the soft case is you'll want it to be water repellent, and that's really nice. I had a cousin who was, during a thunderstorm, they can't go out and get the luggage, and so she was inside looking at her luggage out on the tarmac, just being pelted on with rain because the crew couldn't go out and get the bags, which is, it's their safety first, but her bag was soaked. I don't know if water repellent would have helped that, but there's other times where even if it's just raining, that you want a water repellent fabric so that the things inside don't get damaged. You also want a good quality telescoping handle that you want to be able to push it down and pull it up real easy. It shouldn't stick, and you have to do this because if it sticks even in the store, then it's probably going to break at some point. When you're in the store and you're testing, pushing down, pulling up, also walk around the store pulling the bag behind you and beside you, because you want to make sure it doesn't hit your heel when you're walking or your legs. I'm really short, so a lot of times the carry-on will hit my heel. So I need to make sure that it's going to fit me right. And just because it fits your best friend right, it may not fit you right. So you definitely want to test it out. And if you order luggage online, make sure that they have a good return policy because it is really individualized. The last thing is to make sure that it will actually fit inside the overhead bin. Do us all a favor and love your neighbors and make sure that you're not trying to put your too big bag in the overhead bin. So these are just a couple of hacks about air travel, and I hope you got some good starting info. Again, these came from my book, Hack the Mobile Lifestyle, 6 Steps to Work Well and Play More. For more hacks, you can go to marcyrader.com, or you can click the link in the description to the Hangout for a free video series on hacks related to all the areas: air travel, hotel, auto, mobile office, parties and meetings, and home. For a copy of the book, there's also a link in the description as well. So, high five, fist bump. I'll see you for the next episode, which will be about air travel. I'm sorry, hotel, and you'll definitely not want to miss that one.